She had $3 and a hungry baby. Then she accidentally texted a billionaire. Zaria Jenkins stared at the last $3 in her wallet and felt her world crumble. $3. Her 6-month-old son, Aiden, was screaming in his second-hand crib, not the fussy kind of crying, the hungry kind, the kind that made her chest ache and her eyes burn with tears she couldn't afford to shed. It was November 15th, 2023, a Tuesday night, and Zaria was out of options. Her phone buzzed on the kitchen counter of her tiny Atlanta apartment. Rent was due in 3 days. Her checking account showed negative $12. The food stamps wouldn't reload until the 1st of December, and the last can of formula was empty. She'd already called her mom. No answer. Her best friend Octavia had loaned her money twice this month and was tapped out. The church pantry was closed until Thursday. Zaria picked up her phone with trembling hands. She scrolled through her contacts, desperate. And then she saw it. A number she'd saved 6 months ago. Deshawn's cousin. The one who'd promised to help if she ever needed anything after Deshawn abandoned her when she was 7 months pregnant. She hadn't wanted to reach out. Pride was a funny thing, but pride didn't feed Bobby's. Her fingers moved fast, typing before she could overthink it. I know we don't really know each other, but I'm desperate. My baby needs formula and I only have $3. Can you please help? I'll pay you back, I promise. I just need $25 to get through the week. She hit send. And then she waited. 5 minutes passed. Aiden's cries got louder. Zaria paced the small kitchen, bouncing on her heels, checking her phone every 30 seconds. Then finally, 3 dots appeared. Someone was typing. Zaria held her breath. The message came through. Who is this? Her heart sank. Wrong number. No. She checked the contact name again. She must have saved it wrong or the number changed. Please, she typed back quickly. I'm so sorry if this is the wrong number. I'm just desperate. My Ennojii Najaji's 6-month-old son is hungry, and I don't have money for formula until my benefits reload. If you can spare anything, even $10, I'll find a way to pay you back. The 3 dots appeared again, disappeared, appeared again. Zaria's hand shook, then the phone rang. Unknown number. She answered immediately. Hello. Is this real? The voice was male, deep, with a slight accent she couldn't place immediately. Not Southern, not quite American. Yes, Zaria said, her voice cracking. I'm sorry. I thought this was someone else's number. I didn't mean to bother you. Baby is crying and I don't know what else to do. There was a pause. She could hear breathing on the other end. Where are you? The man asked. What? Your location, what city? Zaria hesitated. Every instinct told her not to tell a stranger where she lived, but desperation made people do dangerous things. Atlanta, she said quietly. Georgia. Another pause. Stay on the line, the man said. What's your address? I can't just give you my address. I don't know who you are. You texted me asking for money, the man said, and there was something almost amused in his tone. Not mocking, just surprised, and now you're worried about safety. He had a point. Zaria closed her eyes. I'm sorry, this was stupid, I shouldn't have. What formula does your son drink? The man interrupted. What? The formula, what brand? Similac, the yellow one, sensitive stomach. How many cans do you need? Zaria's breath caught. Are you serious? How many cans? The man repeated, patient but firm. One would get me through the week, but I can't ask you to. I'll send 6, the man said simply, and some other things. Give me your address. Zaria's mind was racing. This didn't make sense. People didn't just do this. Strangers didn't help, not without wanting something. Why? She whispered. The man was quiet for a moment. When he spoke again, his voice was softer. Because you asked, and because I can. Your address. Tears were streaming down Zaria's face now. She rattled off her apartment number and street address, half convinced this was a scam or a dream. "Someone will be there in 45 minutes, the man said. "Wait, what? Who? I don't." "Check your phone." The call ended. Zaria pulled the phone away from her ear, confused. A notification popped up. "Cash App, you received $500 from Kang Daesung." $500. Zaria's knees buckled. She grabbed the counter to keep from falling. This couldn't be real. She stared at the notification. The name, Kang Daesung, Korean maybe, and he just sent her $500 to a complete stranger because of a wrong number text. Aiden was still crying. Zaria wiped her tears and moved on autopilot. She grabbed her keys, strapped Aiden into his car seat, and drove to the 24-hour Walmart 2 miles away. She bought formula, diapers, baby food, wipes, some groceries, real food, chicken, rice, vegetables, things she hadn't been able to afford in weeks. At the register, when the total came to $187 and she had the money to pay for it, Zaria cried again. The cashier gave her a sympathetic look but didn't ask questions. When Zaria got home 30 minutes later, there was a delivery truck parked outside her building. A man in a black uniform was unloading boxes. "Zaria Jenkins?" he asked. She nodded, speechless. "Delivery for you. Where do you want these?" "What is all this?" The man checked his tablet. 6 cases of Similac Sensitive, diapers in sizes 2 and 3, a baby swing, a high chair, some clothes in infant sizes, a grocery order, and he pulled out an envelope. "This." Zaria took the envelope with shaking hands. The delivery man and another worker carried everything up to her 3rd-floor apartment. It took 3 trips. When they left, Zaria stood in her living room surrounded by boxes and bags. She fed Aiden a bottle. He drank it eagerly, his little hands grabbing at her shirt, his eyes finally calm. When he was fed and changed and sleeping peacefully in his crib, Zaria opened the envelope. Inside was a handwritten note on expensive cardstock. "You don't know me, and I don't know you, but no mother should have to beg for help to feed her child. This is not a loan. You don't owe me anything. Take care of your son." Zaria sat on the floor of her tiny apartment and sobbed. The next morning, Zaria woke up convinced it had all been a dream. But the boxes were still there. The formula, the diapers, the $500 in her Cash App. It was real. She fed Aiden, changed him, and put him in the brand-new baby swing. He cooed happily, and for the first time in months, Zaria felt like she could breathe. But she also felt something else: guilt, confusion, and a burning need to say thank you. She picked up her phone and opened the text thread. "I don't know what to say," she typed. "Thank you doesn't feel like enough. You saved us last night. I don't know who you are or why you did this, but I will never forget it. Thank you, truly." She hit send and didn't expect a response. But 5 minutes later, her phone buzzed. "You're welcome. How is your son?" Zaria blinked at the screen. "He's good, happy, fed because of you." "Good, that's all that matters." She hesitated, then typed, "Can I ask your name? Your real name. I want to know who to thank." The 3 dots appeared. Daesung, Kang Daesung. "I'm Zaria Jenkins." "I know, it was on delivery." She smiled despite herself. "Right, of course. Can I ask you something, Zaria?" Her heart skipped. "Sure." "Why did you text me? I mean, before you knew it was the wrong number. Who did you think I was?" Zaria sighed. "I thought you were someone connected to my ex. He left when I was pregnant. I haven't heard from him since. His cousin gave me her number once and said to call if I needed help. I guess I saved it wrong, or she changed her number. I don't know." "He left you?" "Yeah. He's a fool." Zaria's chest tightened. She didn't know how to respond to that. "Do you have a family, friends?" Daesung asked. My mom, but she works a lot. And my best friend Octavia, but she's struggling too. I didn't want to keep asking. And your job? Zaria hesitated. This was getting personal, but he'd already helped her so much. And something about texting made it easier to be honest. I lost my job 3 months ago. I was a receptionist at a dentist office. They said I missed too many days because Aiden kept getting sick. I've been applying everywhere, but no one wants to hire someone with a 6-month-old and no childcare. That's not fair. No, but it's life. There was a pause. What if I could help with that? Zaria frowned. What do you mean? I own a company, we have openings, remote positions, you could work from home. She sat up straight. Are you serious? I don't joke about employment. What kind of company? Software development, app creation, digital marketing. We have a customer service division that's fully remote. The pay is decent, benefits included. Zaria's mind was spinning. Why would you do this for me? You don't even know me. You needed help. I can provide it. It's not complicated. Yes, it is. People don't just do this. What do you want from me? The 3 dots took a long time to appear. Nothing. I want nothing from you, Zaria. I'm just someone who believes that when you have the ability to help, you should. That's all. She wanted to believe him, but it felt too good to be true. I don't know what to say. Say you'll think about it. I'll send you the job description. No pressure. If you're not interested, that's fine, but the offer stands. 20 minutes later, Zaria received an email with a job description for a remote customer service position. The pay was $22 an hour, full benefits, flexible schedule. It was more than she'd made at the dentist office. She read it 3 times. Then she texted back, when can I start? If you think Daesung is too good to be true, comment, what's the catch? And smash that subscribe button because trust me, this story is about to get wild. You need to see what happens when Zaria finds out who Daesung really is. Zaria started the job the following Monday. It was surreal. She had a company laptop delivered to her apartment. She attended a virtual orientation. She met her team over Zoom, and she started taking customer service calls from her couch while Aiden napped. It felt like a dream. But the paychecks were real. The benefits were real. And for the first time since Aiden was born, Zaria felt like maybe, just maybe, things were going to be okay. She and Daesung texted occasionally. Nothing intense, just check-ins. How's the job? Good, really good, thank you again. You're doing the work, I just opened a door. Still, I owe you everything. You owe me nothing. But Zaria couldn't shake the curiosity. Who was this man? Why was he so kind? And why did a part of her want to know more about him beyond the texts? 3 weeks into the job, her manager mentioned something during a team meeting. Just a reminder, everyone, we have our quarterly company meeting next Friday. It'll be virtual, but attendance is mandatory. Mr. Kang will be speaking. Zaria's stomach dropped. Mr. Kang. She muted herself. I'm sorry, did you say Mr. Kang? Her manager nodded. Yes, Kang Daesung, our CEO. He usually does a quarterly address. CEO. Daesung was the CEO. Of the whole company. Zaria's hands went numb. She'd been texting the CEO, the billionaire CEO, and she had no idea. That night she couldn't help herself. She Googled him. Kang Daesung. I am 32 years old, Korean American, founder and CEO of VisionTech, a billion-dollar software and app development company. Forbes 30 under 30. Estimated net worth, $2.3 billion. There were photos, red carpet events, business conferences, and he was handsome, sharply dressed, serious expression, dark hair, strong jawline, the kind of man who looked like he belonged on magazine covers. And he'd sent her $500 because she'd texted the wrong number. Zaria felt like she was going to be sick. She texted him immediately. Why didn't you tell me you were the CEO? The response came fast. You didn't ask. Diapers. Zaria. This is insane. I've been texting a billionaire like we're friends. I asked you for $25. And I sent you $500. What's your point? My point is that you should have told me. Would it have changed anything? She stopped typing. Would it have? Yes, she would have been terrified. She wouldn't have taken the job. She would have felt like charity. Maybe. Exactly. I didn't tell you because I didn't want you to treat me differently. I'm just a person, Zaria. Money doesn't change that. Easy for a billionaire to say. Fair, but it's still true. She sighed. I don't know how to feel about this. Then don't feel anything. Just keep doing your job, keep taking care of your son. And if you want to keep texting me, I'd like that. If not, I understand. Zaria stared at the message. You want me to keep texting you? Yes, why? Because you're the first person in a long time who didn't want anything from me. You didn't know who I was. You were just honest. I like that. Her heart did a strange little flip. Okay. Yeah, we can keep texting. Good. And they did. Over the next 2 months, Zaria and Daesung texted almost every day. It started simple, work questions, life updates, but slowly it became more. He asked about Aiden. She sent pictures. He sent back laughing emojis when Aiden made funny faces. She asked about his work. He told her about the stress of running a company, the pressure, the loneliness. Loneliness, she texted one night in late January. You're a billionaire, you can't be lonely. Money doesn't buy companionship, he replied. It usually does the opposite. People want something, always. I don't want anything from you. I know, that's why I keep texting you. Zaria smiled at her phone. Then one night in early February, he asked something that surprised her. Can I call you? She hesitated. Texting was safe. Texting was easy. A phone call felt real. But she typed back. Her phone rang 30 seconds later. Hi, she said, her voice suddenly shy. Hi, Daesung replied, and his voice was warm, familiar now. Is this okay? I just wanted to hear your voice. Yeah, it's okay. They talked for an hour, about everything, about nothing. He told her about growing up in Seoul and moving to the US for college. She told him about her childhood in Atlanta, her dreams of going to college that got delayed when life got hard. You could still go, Daesung said. With a baby and a full-time job. People do it. People with money and support. You have money now, and you have me. Zaria's breath caught. Daesung. I mean it. If you want to go back to school, I'll help. Not as your boss, as your friend. Friend, were they friends? It felt like more. But Zaria didn't say that. Instead, she said, thank you, I'll think about it. Good. They started calling regularly after that, a few times a week, then every night. Zaria told Octavia about him. Wait, Octavia said, nearly choking on her wine. You've been texting a billionaire for 2 months, and you're just now telling me. It's not like that, Zaria said quickly. Not like what? Girl, what is it like? We're just friends. Friends who talk every night on the phone. Yes. Octavia gave her a look. Zaria, honey, that man is into you. He's not, he's just nice. Billionaires are not just nice. They're billionaires because they're smart and strategic. If he's spending time on you, it's because he wants to. Zaria's stomach fluttered. You think? I know, the question is, what are you gonna do about it? In March, Daesung asked her something that changed everything. I'm coming to Atlanta next week for a business meeting. Can I see you? Zaria nearly dropped her phone. See me like, in person? Yes, in person, if you're comfortable with that. Her mind raced. They'd been talking for 4 months. She felt like she knew him, but meeting in person was different. "I have Aiden," she said. "Bring him. You want to meet my baby? I've seen about 100 pictures of him. I think it's time." She laughed despite her nerves. "Okay, yeah, let's meet." They agreed on a small cafe near her apartment, somewhere public, safe. The day of the meeting, Zaria changed her outfit 4 times. She settled on jeans, a simple green sweater, and her nicest jacket. She did her hair in braids, put on a little makeup. Octavia came over to watch her panic. "Girl, you look amazing. Relax." "I can't relax. I'm meeting a billionaire." "You're meeting Daesung, the guy who's been making you smile for 4 months. Just be yourself." Zaria nodded. She strapped Aiden into his stroller and headed to the cafe. When she walked in, she saw him immediately. Kang Daesung sat at a corner table wearing dark jeans and a gray sweater. Casual, not the suit and tie CEO from the photos. He looked up when she entered. And he smiled. Zaria's heart stopped. He stood up as she approached. "Zaria," he said, and his voice was just like on the phone, deep, warm. "Hi," she managed. He looked down at Aiden in the stroller. "And this is Aiden." "Yeah, this is him." Daesung crouched down to the baby's level. "Hi, Aiden. I've heard a lot about you." Aiden stared at him with wide eyes, then smiled and babbled. Daesung laughed. It was a genuine, unguarded sound. When he stood back up, he looked at Zaria, really looked at her. "It's good to finally meet you," he said. "You too," she whispered. They sat, they talked, they drank coffee. Daesung was exactly like he was on the phone, kind, funny, easy to talk to. At one point, Aiden started fussing, and Daesung didn't hesitate. He reached over and made funny faces until Aiden giggled. Zaria watched him, and something in her chest shifted. This was real. Whatever this was, it was real. After that first meeting at the cafe, everything changed. Daesung didn't just disappear back to his billionaire life. He stayed in Atlanta for a whole week, and he spent almost every evening with Zaria and Aiden. They went to the park. They got takeout and ate it on Zaria's couch while Aiden napped. They talked about dreams, fears, childhoods, and futures. By the end of that week, Zaria had to admit something to herself. She was falling for him. Hard. And the scariest part, she was pretty sure he was falling for her too. On his last night in Atlanta before flying back to San Francisco, Daesung took her to a nicer restaurant. Octavia volunteered to babysit Aiden. "You're going on a date," Octavia had said with a knowing grin. "It's not a date," Zaria protested weakly. "Girl, he's flying you to a steakhouse. It's a date." Zaria wore a simple black dress she'd borrowed from Octavia. Her braids were freshly done. She felt beautiful and terrified. Daesung picked her up in a car service. When he saw her, his eyes went wide. "Wow," he said softly. "Too much?" Zaria asked, suddenly self-conscious. "Not enough words," Daesung said, and he smiled. Dinner was perfect. They talked like they always did. Easy, comfortable, but there was something else now, a tension, a pull. When dessert came, Daesung reached across the table and took her hand. "Zaria, I need to tell you something." Her heart hammered. "Okay." "These past 4 months have been unexpected. I didn't plan for any of this. I answered a wrong number text because I was bored and curious. But then I met you, and everything changed." She couldn't breathe. "I know this is complicated," Daesung continued. "I know I'm your boss, technically. I know we live in different cities. I know you have Aiden and a whole life here. But I can't stop thinking about you. And I don't want to." Zaria's eyes filled with tears. "I like you, Zaria," Daesung said, his voice steady and sure. "A lot. And I want to see where this goes, if you want that too." She nodded, unable to speak. "Is that a yes?" he asked, hopeful. "Yes," she whispered. "Yes, I want that too." He squeezed her hand. and his smile was brighter than she'd ever seen. That night when he dropped her off at her apartment, he walked her to the door. "Can I kiss you?" he asked. Zaria's heart nearly exploded. "Yes." He leaned in slowly, giving her time to pull away, but she didn't. When his lips met hers, it was soft, gentle, perfect. When they pulled apart, Daesung rested his forehead against hers. "I'll come back soon," he promised. "You better," she said, and he did. For the next 3 months, they made it work. Daesung flew to Atlanta every other weekend, sometimes more. He met Zaria's mom, Lorraine, who was skeptical at first but warmed up when she saw how he treated her daughter. "That man looks at you like you hung the moon," Lorraine said one Sunday after Daesung left. "You think?" Zaria asked. "I know." Zaria also met some of Daesung's friends, other entrepreneurs, tech people. They were polite but distant. She felt out of place in their world of startups and stock options. But Daesung never made her feel less than. "You're brilliant," he told her one night on the phone. "You're raising a child on your own, working full-time, and you're still the kindest person I know. Don't ever think you're not enough." She wanted to believe him. But doubt crept in, especially when she saw the comments. Daesung's company was featured in a tech magazine in June. There was a photo of him at a conference. And somehow, someone spotted Zaria in the background of another photo from a company event she'd attended virtually. The internet did what the internet does. They dug. Within a week, gossip sites were running stories. Billionaire CEO Kang Daesung spotted with mystery woman. Who is she? From rags to riches, single mom lands a tech billionaire. The comments were brutal. "Gold digger. She's using him. He could do so much better. She probably trapped him." Zaria read them all, even though she knew she shouldn't. Octavia found her crying in her apartment one night. "Stop reading that garbage," Octavia said, taking her phone away. "They think I'm using him." "Who cares what they think? Does Daesung think that?" "No." "Then that's all that matters." But it wasn't. Because the comments got worse, and then the messages started. Random people DMing her on social media, telling her she wasn't good enough, telling her to leave him alone, calling her names. She didn't tell Daesung at first. She didn't want to burden him. But he noticed. "Okay, can we just talk about how the internet is ruthless? If you think Zaria should ignore the haters and live her life, drop a comment saying, she DESERVES love too. Hit that like button and subscribe because in July, Daesung asked. "You've been quiet," he said during one of their calls. "What's wrong?" "Nothing." "Zaria, don't do that, talk to me." She broke. She told him everything. The articles, the comments, the messages. "I'm so sorry," Daesung said, and his voice was tight with anger. "I'll handle this." "How?" "I'll release a statement. I'll make it clear that our relationship is no one's business." "That'll just make it worse." "Then what do you want me to do?" "I don't know," Zaria admitted. "Maybe they're right. Maybe I'm not cut out for your world." "Stop," Daesung said firmly. "Don't let strangers dictate your worth. You belong anywhere you want to be, and I want you with me." "But what if this doesn't go away?" "Then we deal with it together." Zaria and Aiden come to visit him in San Francisco. "Just for a week," he said. "I want you to see my life here. I want you to meet my family." Zaria's stomach dropped. "Your family?" "My parents are visiting from Seoul. They want to meet you." "Daesung, I don't know if that's a good idea." "Why not?" "Because what if they don't like me?" "They'll love you." "You don't know that." "I do because I love you." Silence. Zaria's breath stopped. "What?" she whispered. "I love you, Zaria," Daesung said, his voice clear and steady. "I've loved you for a while now. I just didn't know how to say it." Tears streamed down her face. "I love you too." She could hear his smile through the phone. Then come to San Francisco, please. Okay, she said, okay. The trip to San Francisco was like stepping into another world. Daesung's apartment was a penthouse in the heart of the city, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the bay, modern furniture, art on the walls that probably cost more than Zaria's entire apartment building. But he made it feel like home. He had a crib set up for Aiden, baby-proofed the whole space, stocked the fridge with her favorite snacks. You didn't have to do all this, Zaria said. I wanted to, Daesung replied, wrapping his arms around her from behind. I want you to be comfortable here. And she was. Until she met his parents. Kang Daesung and his wife, Minji, arrived on the third day of Zaria's visit. They were elegant, polished, intimidating. Minji looked at Zaria with a polite smile that didn't reach her eyes. Daesung shook her hand with a firm grip and said, "So, you're the woman my son has been talking about." "Yes, sir," Zaria said, her voice steady despite her nerves. Dinner was tense. Minji asked questions, polite but pointed. "So, Zaria, what do you do?" "I work in customer service for VisionTech. And before that, I was a receptionist." "I see, and you have a child." "Yes, Aiden, he's almost 10 months old." "And his father?" Zaria's jaw tightened, not in the picture. Minji exchanged a glance with Daesung. Daesung stepped in. "Mom, that's enough." "I'm just getting to know her, Daesung." "No, you're interrogating her." The table went silent. After dinner, Daesung pulled Zaria aside. "I'm sorry," he said, "they're just protective." "They think I'm not good enough for you," Zaria said quietly. "That's not true." "Daesung, I saw the way your mom looked at me. I heard the questions. She thinks I'm some poor single mom trying to trap you." "She doesn't think that." "Yes, she does." Daesung sighed. "Even if she does, it doesn't matter. I don't care what anyone thinks. I love you. That's what matters." Zaria wanted to believe him. But that night, she overheard a conversation she wasn't supposed to hear. She'd put Aiden to bed and was walking back to the living room when she heard Minji's voice from the kitchen. "She's not right for you, Daesung." "Mom." "She has a child from another man. She has no education, no family background. What do you even have in common?" "Everything that matters. You're thinking with your heart, not your head." "And what's wrong with that?" "You're going to regret this, mark my words." Zaria didn't wait to hear more. She went back to the guest room and cried silently. The next morning, Zaria told Daesung she wanted to go home early. "Why?" he asked, concerned about filling his face. "I think it's better." "Did something happen?" She couldn't lie to him. "I heard from your mom last night." His face fell. "Zaria." "She's right, you know, we're from different worlds. Maybe this was a mistake." "Don't say that." Daesung, look at us. Really look. You're a billionaire. I'm a single mom from Atlanta who couldn't afford baby formula 4 months ago. This doesn't make sense. It makes perfect sense to me. But not to anyone else. I don't care about anyone else. "Well, I do," Zaria's voice broke. "I care that your mother thinks I'm using you. I care that the internet thinks I'm a gold digger. I care that Aiden is going to grow up in the middle of this and wonder if he's enough." Daesung reached for her, but she stepped back. "I need space," she whispered. "I'm sorry." She booked a flight home that afternoon. Daesung didn't try to stop her, but the look on his face broke her heart. Back in Atlanta, Zaria threw herself into work and motherhood. She didn't answer Daesung's calls. She didn't respond to his texts. She told herself it was for the best. But she was miserable. Octavia came over 2 weeks later and found Zaria on the couch, staring at nothing while Aiden played on the floor. "All right, enough," Octavia said. "You're in love with him, he's in love with you. Why are you doing this?" "Because it's too hard. Love is supposed to be hard." Not this hard. Says who? Girl, you've been through worse. You survived an absent baby daddy. You survived being broke. You survived strangers on the internet tearing you down. And you're gonna let his mama scare you off. It's not just his mom. Then what is it? Zaria's voice cracked. I'm scared, Tavi. I'm scared that one day he's gonna wake up and realize I'm not worth it. Octavia sat down beside her. Listen to me. That man flew across the country every other week to see you. He set up a crib in his penthouse. He told his mama off for you. He loves you. And the only person who doesn't believe you're worth it is you. Zaria wiped her tears. You deserve love, Zaria, real love, the kind that shows up, and he's shown up. So stop running. That night, Zaria finally answered Daesung's call. Hi, she said quietly. Hi, he replied, and his voice was raw. I've missed you. I've missed you too. Are we okay? I don't know, are we? Daesung was quiet for a moment. I talked to my parents. Daesung, you didn't have to. Yes, I did. I told them that you're the woman I love, and if they can't respect that, they don't have to be part of my life. Zaria's heart stopped. You didn't. I did, and my mom called me yesterday. She apologized. She wants to meet you again, properly this time. I don't know. Zaria, I'm not asking you to be perfect. I'm not asking you to fit into some mold. I'm asking you to be with me, just as you are, because you're everything I want. She closed her eyes. I'm scared. I know, so am I, but I'd rather be scared with you than safe without you. 3 days after that phone call, Daesung showed up at Zaria's apartment. She opened the door, and there he was, standing in the hallway with a suitcase and a bouquet of sunflowers. What are you doing here? She asked, shocked. I'm staying, Daesung said simply. I'm moving to Atlanta. What? No, you can't. Your company is based in San Francisco, but I can run it from anywhere. I've already talked to my team. I'm setting up a remote office here. Daesung, you don't have to do this. I know, but I want to. I want to be where you are, where Aiden is. This is where I want to build my life. Zaria's eyes filled with tears. You're serious. I've never been more serious about anything. She pulled him inside and kissed him, hard. When they pulled apart, Daesung smiled. Is that a yes? Yes, she whispered. Yes to all of it. The next few months were a whirlwind. Daesung rented a house in a nice neighborhood near Zaria's apartment. Not a mansion, just a home, with a backyard for Aiden. He worked remotely, flying to San Francisco once a month for in-person meetings. He became a fixture in Zaria's life, in Aiden's life. He learned how to change diapers, how to make bottles, how to do the bedtime routine. Aiden started calling him Dada. The first time it happened, Daesung cried. He called me Dada, he said to Zaria, his voice breaking. Is that okay? She asked carefully. It's everything, Daesung said. In November, almost exactly 1 year after Zaria sent that desperate text, Daesung planned something special. He told her to get dressed up. Octavia came to watch Aiden. Where are we going? Zaria asked. You'll see, Daesung said with a secretive smile. He drove her to the same small cafe where they'd first met in person. But it looked different. The cafe was closed, but the inside was decorated with string lights and candles. A table was set in the center with flowers and food. Daesung, what is this? Zaria asked. Our beginning, he said. This is where I first saw you, where I first held Aiden, where I knew my life was about to change. He led her to the table. They ate, they talked, they laughed. And then, as dessert was served, Daesung stood up. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small velvet box. Zaria's breath stopped. Zaria Jenkins, Daesung said, his voice steady but emotional. A year ago you sent me a text by mistake. You were desperate, afraid, at the end of your rope, and I was bored, lonely. going through the motions of a life that felt empty. He opened the box. Inside was a stunning ring, simple, elegant, perfect. But that text changed everything, Daesung continued. You changed everything. You taught me what it means to love without conditions, to show up, to be present. You and Aiden gave me a family I didn't know I needed. He got down on one knee. I don't want to spend another day without you. Will you marry me? Zaria was crying, full on sobbing. Yes, she said through her tears. Yes, yes, yes. Daesung slid the ring onto her finger, stood up, and kissed her like his life depended on it. If you're crying right now, drop a loudly ring in the comments. Hit that subscribe button because we're not done yet. You need to see how this ends. They got married 6 months later in a small ceremony in Atlanta. Zaria wore a simple white dress. Daesung wore a gray suit. Aiden was the ring bearer. He toddled down the aisle with the rings tied to a pillow, and everyone laughed when he stopped halfway to wave at the crowd. Lorraine cried. Octavia cried. Even Daesung's parents, who flew in from Seoul, teared up. Minji had apologized to Zaria months earlier. I really apologized. I was wrong, Minji had said during a video call. I judged you without knowing you, and I'm sorry. You make my son happy. You gave him a family. That's all I ever wanted for him. At the wedding, Minji hugged Zaria tight and whispered, "Welcome to the family, daughter." Zaria cried then too. 2 years later, Zaria and Daesung sat on the back porch of their home. Aiden, now 3 years old, was running around the yard with their dog, a golden retriever named Sunny. Zaria was pregnant, 5 months along with a baby girl. Daesung had his arm around her, his hand resting on her growing belly. Can you believe this is our life? Zaria asked. Sometimes I still can't, Daesung admitted. I think about that text, that random, desperate text, and how easily I could have ignored it. Why didn't you? He looked at her. I don't know, fate, God, luck, something told me to answer, and I'm so glad I did. Me too. Daesung kissed her temple. You know what's funny? What? You texted me asking for $25, and I ended up giving you my whole life. Zaria laughed. Best investment you ever made. By far. Zaria went back to school. She got her degree in social work. She started a nonprofit helping single mothers in crisis, connecting them with resources, childcare, job training, emergency funds. She called it Wrong Number, Right Help. Daesung funded it, but Zaria ran it. And it grew. Within 3 years, they'd helped over 500 families. Zaria told her story everywhere, at conferences, on podcasts, in interviews. Not to brag, but to give hope. I was at my lowest point, she'd say. I had $3 and a hungry baby. I thought my life was over, but one text, one moment of desperation changed everything. Not because a billionaire saved me, but because I was brave enough to ask for help, and someone was kind enough to answer. On a quiet Sunday afternoon, Zaria sat with Aiden, now 5 years old, reading him a bedtime story. Mama, Aiden asked, how did you and Dada meet? Zaria smiled. That's a long story, baby. Tell me. She thought about it, about that night, the empty formula can, the $3, the desperate text. I needed help, Zaria said simply, and I asked for it, and your Dada answered. Was he nice? The nicest. Do you love him? So much. Aiden smiled. Good, I love him too. Zaria kissed his forehead. Me too, baby, me too. That night, after the kids were asleep, Zaria found Daesung in his office. Hey, she said. He looked up from his laptop and smiled. Hey, kids asleep. Finally. She walked over and sat on his lap. He wrapped his arms around her. What are you thinking about? He asked. Just how different my life could have been if I hadn't sent that text, if you hadn't answered, if we hadn't taken a chance on each other. Do you regret anything? Not a single thing. Daesung kissed her softly. Good, because I don't either. Years later, when Zaria told their story at a charity gala, she ended with this. People ask me all the time what the secret is. How did I go from rock bottom to here? And the answer is simple. I asked for help. I was vulnerable. I admitted I couldn't do it alone. And someone showed up. She looked at Daesung in the audience. He was watching her with pride. But here's the real lesson, Zaria continued. It's not about waiting for a billionaire to save you. It's about being brave enough to ask. It's about showing up for yourself. And when someone extends a hand, be humble enough to take it. She paused. We all need help sometimes, and there's no shame in that. The shame is in suffering in silence. So if you're struggling, ask, reach out, text the wrong number if you have to. The audience laughed. Because you never know, Zaria said, smiling. That wrong number might just be the right person. If this story touched your heart, hit that like button and subscribe for more incredible love stories that will make you believe in second chances, fate, and the power of one text message. Drop a comment and tell me, do you believe in destiny? Because Zaria and Daesung's story proves that sometimes the wrong number is exactly the right one. See you in the next story. Life's hardest moments can become your greatest blessings. Asking for help isn't weakness, it's courage. And love doesn't care about your bank account, your past, or what the world thinks. It only cares about two people choosing each other every single day, no matter what. Zaria had $3 and a hungry baby, but she had something more valuable, the courage to ask for help. And Daesung had billions of dollars, but what he needed most was someone who saw him, not his money. Together, they built something money can't buy. A family, a home, a love story for the ages. All because of one wrong number.